welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin Jank. You chose the book. Tell the kids what we're reading.
I picked the DC comic Hawk and Dove, number 4 of the 5-issue limited series.
Hawk and Dove. This is a DC Comics. I had never heard of it. Well, I think I had heard of it in past.
Yeah, they're one of those people that, you know, they're in the ether.
But I would not be able to pick them out of a lineup. You know? Like, I have no concept of Hawk and Dove.
Yeah.
When I hear that title, I think Lonesome Dove. Do you remember that? Wasn't that a TV show?
Sure.
Lonesome Dove? Yeah.
I never watched it, but yeah, it was a little before my time, but I definitely remember that.
But this Hawk and Dove. Now, you have no knowledge of these people either, right?
Not much. I remember when they launched the New 52, for some reason, Hawk and Dove was one of the titles that they launched with. And I remember Liefeld doing the cover. So I was like, why is Rob Liefeld doing the covers for this? But apparently he's got history with them, so it makes sense.
He kind of started out here on the Hawk and Dove. We'll get into all that tonight on Flea Market Fantasy. We'll talk about the book, its creation. We'll break down the issue, and then we'll get into the creators. It'll be a swell time. Because really, you know, what we do here is infotainment. You know?
Yes. Much more heavy on the info than the attainment.
Yeah, especially this evening because no one knows anything about Hawk and Dove.
Yeah, this was research intensive, trying to figure out just what this is even about.
Yeah, it's a little weird. So the Hawk and Dove characters were actually created by Steve Ditko and Steve Skeates. And
that's a good name.
Yeah, Steve Skeates, yeah. They first appeared in Showcase 75 in 1968. And back then, they were two dudes. The book we're reading today, it's a one fella and one lady. For Hawk
Probably the better choice, yeah.
Yes.
The Dove costume seems very feminine. It's hard to imagine a dude wearing it.
Well, originally, they were teenage brothers, Hank and Dawn Hall. And their father was a judge who had many enemies, Jack. Many enemies.
Oh, as you do.
Yeah, when you judge.
Yep.
And after one failed assassination attempt on their father, Hank and Dawn follow the would-be assassin back to his hideout with him and his other gang members, you know? And they ended up getting stuck in a closet, though.
Uh-oh.
They're trying to hide in the closet.
That's when they usually start making out, according to most movies I've seen. But I guess if they're brothers, that'd be weird.
Yeah, they're brothers. I mean, they're not twins, though. I think this is like a Hardy Boys situation. You know, like one's a year or two older. But so while they were locked in the closet, the bad guys they didn't know what to do, you know. But here they start hearing these voices talking to them in the closet. And they're the voices of T'Char, the Lord of Chaos, and Tarataya, the Lord of Order.
Mm-hmm.
And they offer the brothers the power necessary to save their father. All they have to do is say the magic words Hawk and Dove.
I think they go with something a little less common than Hawk and Dove. Like, people are probably saying that all the time.
Well, the duo's powers are a form of danger sense transformation. When they say the words Hawk and Dove in the presence of danger, they transform into Hawk and Dove.
That's a weird clause, especially for the Lord of Chaos. Yeah. Like, you think he'd want him to always be Hawk, not just when there's danger.
So if you're just if they're just walking around the streets and someone says, "Hey, Hawk," you know, they don't transform. Yeah. But if there's a bank robbery going on and someone says Hawk, bang, they transform. So
that's kind of weird. Like, I wonder how it realizes, the danger is past. So we kind of see it in this issue, like, we've beaten the villain, now we're going to change it back. But what if they're wrong? Like, what if just at that moment someone snipes them or something? Because they're not out of the woods yet.
But they don't choose when to transform back. It's the danger
like a Spidey sense type thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the cosmic law of chaos and order figures it out for them. So there would be no danger. Although if they are injured, and because they have healing factors when they're Hawk and Dove, they will stay as Hawk and Dove longer than necessary to heal properly. But when they transform, Hawk gets super strength, stamina, and durability, increased body density, and a healing factor. Dove gets enhanced agility, durability, reason, perceptions, and a healing factor.
Okay. That's less cool than Hawk's for sure.
Yeah, Hawk is supposed to be the big burly tough guy who likes to fight, and Dove is the reasonable, peace-loving pacifist guy who tries to avoid conflict. But, so his powers are more like agility and dodging and, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
More defensive.
I read that there was a lot of problems with people trying to write for Dove, essentially, because of that very issue, where they just kind of made him a wimp.
Yes.
Because nobody knew how to make it like a pacifist who actually did things. So they're just like, he just kind of ran away from fights a lot.
Yeah, they made him a big crybaby, I guess. After the first appearance in Showcase, the Hall brothers got their own Hawk and Dove ongoing series in 1968, but it lasted only 6 issues. And I think it was called The Hawk and the Dove.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, pretty wordy. The one we're reading today is just Hawk and Dove.
Yeah. Take that, the Ed.
So, Ditko plotted the first issue and left after the second. He plotted and drew it. And then Gil Kane stepped in to be the artist. Then Steve Skeates left after issue 4 due to conflicts with editor Dick Giordano over script changes regarding how Dove was portrayed, which is what you were talking about. Skeates didn't like the fact that, Giordano was making Dove kind of a wimp, I
hope they replaced him with Skeet Ulrich.
No, they did not. They did not.
Oh,
actually, Gil Kane wrote and drew the remaining 2 issues, and then the series got canceled. So.
Wow. What a start for Hawk and Dove.
Yeah.
Your creators leave after like an issue, and then everyone else is kind of bails after a couple.
The characters made sporadic appearances throughout the 70s and 80s in books like Teen Titans, the New Teen Titans, and The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever come out with a new Teen Titans?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they have already.
Probably.
Even newer.
So Dawn, who was Dove, he died in Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue 12, 1986. So that's why we get the Lady Dove in this series, and she is played by Dawn Granger. And
even the name's similar. You got Dawn, you go to Dawn.
Yeah, just spell D-A-W-N, yeah. And she takes over the role in this here 1988 Hawk and Dove miniseries that we're reading today. It's a 5-issue miniseries. We're doing issue 4. The series actually proved popular. This limited series. It sold out.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
That really is. Like, what was going on in 88 that nobody could find better things than Hawk and Dove? But.
So they got their own series, and this one lasted 28 issues.
Hey, that's a solid run.
2 years.
More than Coyote got.
Yeah. Hank Hall died in 1994's Zero Hour Crisis in Time. Yes. So then Dawn's sister, Holly Granger, became Hawk. So now it started out with 2 fellas, now it's 2 ladies.
Yeah. Because there was a big kerfuffle, I guess, during I think it was 0 Hour, I guess, where there was this villain called Monarch that, was a mysterious villain. Nobody knew the identity. And it was a big mystery over at DC there. But it turns out DC had this hotline that you could call in and find out things about comics and stuff like that. And somebody decided to put the identity of Monarch on that hotline. So they basically spoiled the big reveal months in advance. So it was supposed to be Captain Atom was supposed to be Monarch. But after everyone found out about it and there was no surprise left, they're like, we got to change it. So they just changed it to be Hawk.
Yeah. So Hawk was this murderous person. Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because I guess it's Hawk in the future who came back and ended up killing Dove, which is the event that made him become Monarch in the first place. So like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. I don't know. Weird.
Very, very confusing. So this Holly Granger took his spot, but then when she died, Hank was resurrected again in 2009's Blackest Night. So now we're back to Hank and Dawn. So you're aware of Blackest Night? You seemed to be very excited when I said that.
Yeah, I did read some of that stuff, more like the Batman tie-ins. But yeah, it was a big event. Basically, the Green Lantern stuff really started exploding when Jeff Johns was working on it. And they had been killing off DC heroes like crazy leading up to this. So they basically needed some kind of a reset to be like, hey, we're bringing people back. Because we might have gone overkill with the killings here. So there's a bunch of different Lantern Corps, essentially. And the worst of them all is the Black Lanterns. So they have these Black Lantern rings that can bring the dead back to life. And there was some big villain who was kind of behind it all, and they were just bringing people back to life left and right. Mostly it's zombies, but then a lot of them ended up staying alive after that. So Yeah, it was somewhat cool.
Never heard of it. There was also a different version of Hawk and Dove. In 1997, a year before this series, there was a 5-issue miniseries by Mike Baron, and that Hawk was Sasha Martins, who was like a military brat, and Dove was a guy named Wiley Wolverman, and he was like a slacker. And they were completely unrelated to the concept of the Lords of Chaos and Order. They gained large bird wings and a telepathic link by receiving experimental medical treatments as children. So that's another version of Hawk and Dove.
Interesting.
Which is even dumber than the other version. So there you go.
Yeah. But you love when they try to revamp things by giving it an even worse origin. Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah. I don't know if I should mention them, but the origin, the characters, because they were created out of the political divide of the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like the Hawk, the military, pro-war, and then the Dove, the pacifist. So that's what Skeates and Ditko are trying to go for there. Now, the creators for this book that we're reading today are Karl and Barbara Kesel. That's spelled with one S, not like Phil Kessel, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 2 S's. Karl and Barbara Kesel, they were a married couple here at the time. They're your writers.
Yeah.
And the artist is, of course,
because the villain of this book is a guy named Kestrel.
Yeah.
So the same thing, but with an R.
Yeah, they're not very creative.
No.
And the artist is, of course, Rob Liefeld. We'll talk about them after we look at the story. But is there anything else we should know about Hawk and Dove, Jank?
No, I think you hit all the big beats.
Yeah. That's way more than I wanted to know about Hawk and Dove.
It's an interesting enough concept. The pro-war guy and the anti-war guy or lady in this case. Like, it's interesting.
Well, another thing I forgot to mention about the original origin, we mentioned their father was a judge. He had centralist views, so he's in between the two sons, you know. But he also hated vigilantes.
Ooh, that's a problem.
Yeah, so now they're costume vigilantes.
Ooh.
Their dad doesn't. So yeah, a lot of conflict there going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's some good drama. I like it. I like this.
It's good drama. All right, well, let's look at this cover of Hawk and Dove, issue 4 from, I think this is technically 1989, right? When this came out?
Yeah, so.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead, Jank. Why don't you describe the cover?
All right. Well, we got the DC logo up in the top left there. They don't have like a typical corner box or anything. The issue number is actually up in the other opposite corner there in the top right. They just kind of sneak it in there real small. But then we got the Hawk and Dove, Hawks in red and Doves in white with the kind of the blue outline. So kind of get that logo there. And it's a big purple cover, which is a bold choice. But there's a lot of smoke rising behind him. And then we got Hawk there in full Rob Liefeld glory, just wearing a big bandolier of bullets, like a vest with a bunch of grenades on it, toting 2 machine guns, just like firing away. It's Rob Liefeld at his best right here. This is everything he ever wanted, I'm sure. He's you don't see much of his feet as you would expect in a Rob Liefeld book.
Right.
And you see even less of Dove's there. Her feet are completely out of frame. But she's there. She's got her little wings under her armpit there and her white hair. And she's just kind of running. No guns for her. So she's the pacifist, but she's just kind of, running out of the way.
Yeah, her costume is like blue and white, like white gloves and boots, blue bodysuit, blue kind of mask with big white eyes, kind of like Spider-Woman, and kind of like a little cape.
Yeah.
Little wings. And then Hawk is...
I wonder if when Dawn was wearing it, also had the little like thong underwear piece of it.
No, yeah, I don't think he had that. But he had a similar...
something a little different.
Similar color scheme, though. Yeah, as her outfit.
Yeah.
And Hawk is red and white, and he looks a lot like Vindicator from Alpha Flight. So now Hawk doesn't normally carry guns and a big ammo thing and everything, but in this issue he does. So
yeah. I wonder if this was a Liefeld suggestion. Like, we got to get more guns in here, more pouches.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we'll get into his career later, but in the 90s was a weird time, and this was late 80s, but Rob Liefeld really defined what comics were in like from 89 to 91-ish. like with like A lot of guns, pockets, all kinds of stuff like that. So
that look lasted well on into the 90s, and I'm not against it. I know your feelings on the subject.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
I mean, if you were a superhero, wouldn't you want a lot of pouches? I'm sure I would. Have like a little candy bar in there or something.
Yeah, mints.
Get hungry, you're on a mission, stuck in the savage land for weeks at a time, you know.
I suppose. All right, so we open up the book, Jank, and one thing you got to get used to if you're reading this book, repetitive page layouts of 5 horizontal panels. Get used to it because you see it a lot. And
that is true. He found something that worked and stuck with it.
And we get it right out of the gate. There's some guy in like a black pants and a black vest, and he's got like black energy coming out of his hands, and he's looking for Hawk and Dove. And it's like a warrior situation, like come out and play, you know, and
firing like energy shurikens all over the place.
Yeah, black energy coming out of them, and all kind of crazy lasers and stuff. And there's guys with guns. They look like commandos. They're just gunning people down. And this is at Georgetown University. This is taking place.
Yeah.
I'm always confused by DC because they have made up phony towns and then they have real world stuff, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, where do these towns fit in? Like, where is Gotham City in relation to New York City if they both exist?
Yes, that's why I don't like it. But there's a girl here, and she's hiding behind a wall, and she's got a camera, and she says, "Oh, I'm gonna win a Pulitzer for this." So she's like an aspiring photojournalist, you know. Yeah. But what happens to her though, Jack?
She gets yanked by her camera strap there and pulled back by Hank. I believe is his name.
Yeah.
Who's also Hawk. Yeah. At least they keep the name similar.
But he like drags her up the stairs. She's bouncing. That would really hurt. And then he's dragging her along cement. And this Hank fella, he's gotten beat up somehow. His face is all bruised. His arm's in a sling and a cast. He's got Band-Aids on his face. And
that's not enough to stay as Hawk. To keep that healing factor going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He needs it.
So, but he's yelling at this girl because he thinks that she is Dove. Because apparently in this new incarnation, Hawk and Dove, they don't know who their real identities are.
Yeah, I guess with once Dawn died, it passed to Dawn, and he just didn't know about it because she wasn't around him at the time. So.
Yeah, but at some point he saw Dove, I'm guessing. So he's like, "Oh, it's a lady now."
Yeah, and I think they've interacted in the first couple issues. Maybe issue.
Yeah,
I think the end of issue 1 she pops up, and then they kind of interact in issue 2 and 3.
Yeah, this is issue 4. I'm hoping they have seen each other at some point. Yeah. But he thinks that this girl here, because he knows her though, right? Like they're all college pals.
Yep,
is what I got.
It seems like he's accusing everyone he knows who's a lady that they might be Dove.
But he's really leaning into this girl. You know, and he's like, say it. And she's like, what? And she's like, and he says, Hawk. And he transforms into the big muscular Hawk. You know?
Yeah, especially muscular in the ass region.
Yeah.
Look at that.
A lot of squats.
Got some birthday cakes going on back there.
A lot of squats for Hawk. And, but this girl though, she doesn't know what the hell's going on. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So she starts repeating Hawk over and over. And he's like, no, don't say Hawk. You know what you have to say. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then here comes the real Dove.
Yep.
He's like, let her go. And again, we get the page with the 5 horizontal panels as well. Again.
Hey, we do mix it up on the next page, so that's something.
Yeah. So Hawk's like, hey, I thought she was Dove. You know, he's a big dumb guy.
He really is.
Big dumb. He also has a cape like Mr. Sinister.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. I like that kind of cape.
No, I didn't do the math on this, but Sinister was out before this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely, because Wolverine, that Wolverine issue we did was like after Inferno. So yeah, definitely, Mr. Sinister was around.
So Hawk and Dove, they decide to work together. They're going to go, beat these terrorists or whatever they are here, tearing down this college campus. And the photojournalist girl, she's like, hey, I think I recognize you, to Dove. You know, she's like, hey, you seem familiar to me. You know, she's like, don't worry about it. You know, and she goes running off.
Well, it seems like, I mean, doesn't it kind of seem like they're in a relationship or something? These two,
I think they're just friends.
On and yeah, I don't know. It kind of seemed like this reporter girl was kind of like upset. They're like, oh, you're trying to get with Hawk.
Oh, wait, Hawk, but Hawk and the reporter girl were in a...
No, it seems like she, let me see. Funny, you remind me of someone else, someone I thought was my friend. Ren, I'm not his partner, not the way you think, but you're trying. Ren, I can't explain right now. Just trust me, you don't understand. So it seems like she's like, you know, like, why are you going after this Hawk guy when you're supposed to be with me? That was kind of the impression I got.
Oh, see, I thought she was saying, why are you going after Hank, who's Hawk, because I'm interested in Hank Hawk.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
But either way.
Just the whole series. Then we would know these things.
So they start going after the bad guys, and these bad guys are actually like demons in disguise or something. They can turn into big, giant black birds. And Hawk grabs one of the fellas.
Pulls off, they're like jewelry that's keeping them, or allows them to transform. But then that makes them also turn right into demons because they can't hold their human form anymore.
Now, a couple things about Rob Liefeld here. Storytelling was never his strength. and again, we get a page with horizontal panels here. I think it's only, is it 5 again? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 5 panels again. And he says he has to rip off this jewelry and he turns into a demon. But it would have been nice if we see the person wearing the jewelry.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we don't see it at all.
We don't see it.
And in the one panel, it's just in Hawk's hand, like he ripped it off. But we never see this person wearing jewelry at all. So the guy...
That's critique, but it's not like it was hard to follow. Like, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
But it's not proper way to do it. You know, like there's a way to tell the story, and this ain't it. So that guy turns into a giant pink-purple demon, and even though they're like right on top of each other, now the demon has to jump like 50 feet to get to him. Again, basic storytelling is out the window. And again, another page of horizontal panels. But right when this demon is about to jump on him,
yeah, that's part is freak.
It wasn't because all right, out of nowhere, a gun barrel pops in the way, and the demon bites down on the gun barrel, breaks all his teeth, and then Hawk pops him on the head and knocks him out. And when the camera pulls back, we see, oh, look, it's Dove. She's holding a giant gun. Now the next panel, Dove is not holding a giant gun.
Well, she dropped it. She doesn't actually shoot anybody.
This is awful. All right. So
it's all about looking cool. Storytelling comes second.
They start fighting the demons. That would be way easier if Dove still had that giant gun. But no, she doesn't.
She's a pacifist. She's not going to shoot them, even demons. She just wants to break their teeth and make them pay exorbitant dental bills.
Hey, this one demon on the next page there to the right there, he's got a little black vest on, and he's running. That looks like Sim from Magic.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Ilyana Rasputin Magic. Yeah. So, Jank, they're fighting these big demons and whatnot, and then we go back and we see our bad guy. What's this bad guy's name? Shadowblade.
Shadowblade?
Yeah. All right, so why don't you pick it up from here and tell us what happens?
So let's see. A bunch of shots start firing out, and it turns out there's a whole bunch of gun nuts there, who I guess are cops, but they're not dressed like cops. I guess this is like campus security, but they really take their jobs seriously over at Georgetown University. They have a full arsenal.
Yes.
Like, not just handguns. This is like a full-on militia.
My father was chief of campus police for a local university. They did not have a full armory. They weren't even allowed to carry guns. But these guys, full armor.
These guys are prepared.
Yeah.
They're like, demons are coming any day now. Or maybe Duke. In case Duke comes, we also gotta be ready.
And the one guy, he looks like Andy Richter to me. One guy with the gun.
Yeah, he does. Yep, he's like the leader guy. A little overweight, this guy.
A little bit.
I guess his name's Wolfson. And so they kind of they jump up over onto the top of this building to meet up with these cop guys. One of them's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt. Like, what's going on here?
Well, Jank,
they're undercover security.
They didn't jump up there to get with the security guys because Hawk was fighting them. He wanted to still keep fighting the demons. Dove actually picked him up and threw him up there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Dove,
she's even having the hand strength, right? She just got like agility and stuff.
Well, I guess she has extra. She's not as strong as Hawk, but she does get stronger, I guess. So yeah, she throws Hawk up on top of the wall because she's like, we can't fight all these demons ourselves. But now Hawk's mad at her, you know.
Yeah.
This Hawk guy seems like a real piece of work. So it's
not pleasant to be around, that's for sure.
But now, Jank, this is where it goes full Liefeld.
Yeah, it does. Yep. They're talking. Dove's kind of talking to the cop guy. He says she's saying they're after Hawk and myself for their boss, a lunatic named Kestrel, who claims to be working for the Lords of Chaos. New gang, haven't heard of them. But meanwhile, you get in the background, there's just a bunch of noise, and then you turn around and here's Hawk, loaded up with his full outfit and the 2 guns from the cover, and he's just like, I've got a plan.
Yeah. He's going to shoot people.
Do some mayhem.
Yeah, that's his plan. Now we cut back to see some of their other college chums. I don't know what their names are. Oh, Kyle and Donna.
Kyle and Donna, yeah. Donna was also a good suspect, I guess, because her name is also very similar to Don. So
that's right. And they're talking to our girl Ren, who's the photojournalist girl, and she's got like tiger stripe pants. Reminds me of Boom Boom from Fallen Angels fame and Mutants. Yeah.
Oh, what a comic that was!
but Kyle and Donna are talking to Ren, and they're trying to figure out where Hank is and what happened to him, you know. And I don't know what I can't remember what happened. I read this days ago, but it's nothing important.
No, not much. And then somebody asked about Dawn. Like, have you seen Dawn? She's disappeared too. And Ren's just like, no, I haven't, Kyle. I haven't seen Dawn all day. Let's go home. So yeah. I don't know if the audience knows that it's Dawn at this point, but that should probably be a tip-off.
Yeah, I would think so. So Hawk jumps out of the mobile armory that they had, and he just starts gunning down demons.
Yeah.
Mowing them down. And the guy in the Hawaiian shirt, he's like, I just wish he was a little more confident, that's all. You need a weapon? And Dove says, I've already got everything I need. And then he looks at her and says, I'll say, because she's foxy, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So now we see Andy Richter. He's gunning down some demons. And it seems like Andy Richter and Hawk, they don't get along. You know?
No. They're just making fun of each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Hawk called him Pillow Boy at one point.
They're still murdering these demons, though. And Dove is about to get zapped by Shadow Blade. But she rescues the one cop, although he gets in the Hawaiian shirt. But he gets hit in the shoulder a little bit. And here comes Shadow Blade. Now, he looks way different than he did at the beginning of the issue.
He's gotten much larger. Yeah.
Yeah, way bigger. And a little redder, I would say. More purple.
He's got a little rosacea. He's probably been drinking, I guess.
Yeah, a little flush. So he starts shooting at Dove, but now we see her enhanced agility, you know. She's jumping out of the way. That's a pretty good panel, her jumping out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, good action.
And she starts talking to this Shadow Blade guy, trying to talk some sense into him. But Jank, while they're fighting, Hawk and his pals came up with a plan how to kill all the demons. I mean, they seem to be doing a pretty good job with just the guns, you know?
Yeah, they're not really getting anywhere near them, so they're doing a good job of keeping them off of them. So, yeah, that seems to be getting the job done. But they're like, this is taking too long, I guess.
Because you know what you want to do when you want to come up with a plan? You really want to blow up a library, too. So explain their plan.
Nobody needs libraries. So they load the library up with, I don't know, like TNT or something like that, essentially.
It's actually on his chest. He hit a bomb on his chest, and he was getting... Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I saw it on his chest, but then he throws it, and they somehow managed to shoot it in midair.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Because basically he was sitting across the top of the library, leading all the demons behind him.
Yeah. I think it was a timer. Like he had a minute before the bomb goes off. So he put it around his neck to lead the demons into the library. And then when he jumps out the window, the cop buddies open up fire to suppress the demons from coming out the window to keep them pinned down.
Yeah.
But
that part was a little confusing. Storytelling may not have been the best there.
But yeah, then the library blows up. And all the demons go Cthulhu. And now we're back to Shadow, Blade, and Dove.
It's like Hawk's like play acting where he's just like, oh no, I'm trapped. Heebie-jeebies, there's no place left to run.
Yeah, he's playing it up to trick those dopey demons who don't understand sarcasm. And this picture of Hawk landing on the ground after the explosion, that is direct ripoff of something Art Adams would do, you know? Ooh. He's trying to draw like Art Adams there. The forearm.
I can see that. Sure.
All right, so, Jank, now we're back to Shadow, whatever, Blade, and Dove. And tell us how this fight goes.
So Shadow Blade, his weight is fluctuating wildly at this point. Like, the top panel, he kind of looks semi-normal. The next panel, he looks like the Blob from behind. But he's all over the map. So he's shooting out his energy blast over at Dove. She's leaping around and makes him accidentally shoot like a fire hydrant there. And it's spraying up the water. And she then grabs a piece of wood that just happened to be laying nearby and redirects the flow of the water right back at him and shoots him flying over the edge of the building there. Or edge of the wall there. I guess it is.
But that doesn't stop him. He keeps coming.
Nope. But she starts to notice like there's weird energy coming out of his mouth, and he seems to like be getting rapidly older. And she's like, I think you made the deal that you made with the demon to get these powers. Like, I think it's got a cost, and that cost is your life. Like, whenever you use your powers, you're using up your own life force. That's what's powering these things. So you should probably stop. And he's like, oh, I'm not falling for that. But then she shows him a mirror, and he's like, oh yeah, I look like an old man who's got like a mouthful of cigarettes.
He still doesn't really believe her though. He thinks it's some sort of a trick. So he goes to use his power like full blast, and his body just like incinerates. He's dead. So that's
it for him. Yeah, I guess he was just some like punk kid they must have ran into earlier in one of these issues, and
he like mugged an old lady, I think, at a park or something.
Oh, so I guess you can't feel too bad.
Yeah,
a great dude even before.
Yeah, this wasn't a good fella. No, don't feel bad for the guy. No. So then Hawk and Dove, they're talking, after everything's gone, and they're like, hey, I guess we'll be transforming back soon. And I guess it's time for you to go one of your disappearing acts, slip away while I'm not looking. And she's like, not this time, Hawk. I don't want what happened to Ren to happen to anyone else. It's time for you to learn who I really am. It's time to be honest. And Hawk, being the great guy that he is, says, I'm not interested, lady. We had a deal. Now just get out of my life.
Yeah, he's a bit of a musclehead.
But Dove's like, what about that Kestrel fella? He's still out there. He almost killed you once already. I can take care. Oh, you should really do Hawk because you're good with voices,
I can take care of myself.
And if you need help, who will you grab off the streets then? Who will you think is Dove next time?
That was a sexy Dove voice. Well done.
Yeah, well, that's just my normal voice.
Maybe I already know. Maybe I thought no, wait. Maybe I thought, who do I know who's athletic? Who's bossy? Who's always been on my case? Okay, I was wrong about Ren. Anyone can make a mistake once. Should have known right off it was you, Donna.
Well, you're getting warmer.
It starts with the right letter this time. Yeah. Dawn.
I knew you would get it if you had 3 guesses.
I think he's reached everyone he knows at the school, and nope, last one. But how? When did?
I'll answer any questions, but only if we can make a deal. I want to get Kestrel. Let me help stop him. Let me help stop him from killing again. Let me help stop him. That could have been better. Okay, lady, you've got a deal. Concluded next issue.
Ooh, the exciting conclusion.
Yeah. So there you go, Hawk and Dove. So the writers here are Karl and Barbara Kesel, and they were married at the time, but they are no longer married.
Ooh.
No marriage can survive Hawk and Dove.
He was a bit too much Hawk, she was a bit too much Dove.
Karl was born in New York in 1959. He started out as an inker on DC's Tales of the Legion of Superheroes. He inked George Perez on the history of the DC Universe and John Byrne on Superman Volume 2. So those are two pretty good gigs. He wrote and inked all 5 issues of the Hawk and Dove limited series, and he wrote 26 of the subsequent ongoing series' 28 issues. Although, spoiler alert, Barbara got credit for all 28 issues.
So she did a couple without him.
Yeah, I guess so. As a writer...
Put into the marriage.
Yeah, probably.
She did on him with more Hawk and Dove issues.
Well, he probably grabbed her and pulled her up some steps, thinking she was Dove. She's like, no, I'm just Barbara. As a writer, he launched Superboy Volume 3 with artist Tom Grummett, and he wrote about 58 issues. Oh, you know Tom Grummett? I don't know Tom Grummett.
Yeah. He did a lot of stuff for Marvel later on. Thunderbolts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. He wrote about 58 issues of Superboy from 1994 to 2002, a run that spanned from issue 1 to issue 100. In 1999, he wrote...
That's a Superman Superboy.
Yeah. Yeah, the one with like the leather jacket or whatever.
Yeah, and its earring. So 90s.
He was so cool. In 1999, he wrote the Batman and Superman World's Finest 10-issue limited series. In 2000, he launched the Harley Quinn ongoing series with artist Terry Dodson, and he wrote the first 25 issues. I don't know Terry Dodson either.
Oh, yeah, he's done a lot of stuff from Marvel. I think he's actually been doing some Spider-Man stuff now, but I hear it's not good. But he used to be very good. I think he's not taking as much time with it these days, but he was on Generation X for a little bit, bunch of other stuff, a lot of fill-in stuff, not a lot of huge runs.
All told, Karl Kesel had 297 writing credits at DC and 239 inking credits. He also did some stuff at Marvel, most notably 12 issues of Daredevil in 1996-97 and 12 issues of Human Torch in 2003-2004. I didn't know Human Torch had his own series.
I don't think that one lasted too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably 12 issues or less, I'm guessing.
He also did some stuff for Image and Dark Horse, and he was nominated for Eisner Awards for Best Inker in 1991 and 1992, and he was nominated for an Inkwell Award for Favorite Inker in 2016. So look at that.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Never heard of him. Look at that. Quite the career. I don't know a lot of DC fellas, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, if you spend a lot of time in the DC offices, we're probably not going to be as familiar with you.
I'm not going to know who you are.
I know I have Daredevil issues he did. I have not read them yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I was out by then, you know. I wasn't buying it. But Barbara Kesel was born in 1960. She was a college student when she wrote to DC editor Dick Giordano a 10-page letter about the portrayal of female characters in comics, and he offered her a job. That was such a wild, crazy world back then. People just got jobs.
Anything.
Oh, you like comic books? Would you like to be the writer of Spider-Man? Okay.
Right. You wrote us one letter? Cool, you're in.
Her first published work was a Batgirl backup story in Detective Comics 518 in 1982. She became an associate editor at DC in 1984. She was promoted to full editor in 1985. In 1988, she wrote a Batgirl special. Then she did Hawk and Dove. And she has a writing credit on every issue, unlike that slacker husband who missed 2 issues. In 1991, as a solo writer, she wrote Spelljammer, which was a Dungeons and Dragons licensed series.
Oh, okay.
Never heard of that. She has 109 writing credits at DC. She became an editor at Dark Horse in 1991. In 1996, she wrote the Ultra Girl 3-issue limited series for Marvel. I had never heard of that. Do you know what Ultra Girl is?
don't. I'm guessing that must have been part of when they bought Malibu. That was one of those, I think. When Marvel bought Malibu Comics, they had a bunch of weird titles like that. I think Ultra Girl was probably one of those.
Yeah, I read her description of it. I guess it's like, what if Supergirl was a Marvel character in the 90s is basically the description of the series.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like Malibu.
Yeah. So what'd you think of the writing here by the Kesel combo?
The dialogue was a little bit clunky from time to time, like we pointed out some of that. It was overall fine. I wouldn't say a lot happened this issue. Kind of just a lot of people with guns and maybe not the best plot I've seen ever, but it was fine. It wasn't like aggressively bad.
Yeah, like a lot of times you see a lot of young writers do this where they make sure every character is addressed by their name every time someone talks to them. Yeah. You don't need to do that. No.
We know Donna from Dawn though.
I guess they were trying to do stuff with the supporting cast there, keeping them going with Kyle and Donna and Ren and everything. So they're doing some stuff there. I kind of like the interplay between Dove and Hawk in the sense that he's this dopey meathead guy and she's calm and cool and whatnot. So I guess that's a good dynamic. I don't know. Yeah, there's not much here. Like bad guys attacking the university, good guys coming and saving. I think the whole bomb plot blowing up the library to kill the demons was kind of dopey. I don't know why you wanted to blow up a library to kill the demons. You seem to be doing fine without that, but all right.
They just don't like books. Who can blame them?
How did you feel about the way she convinced Shadowblade that his powers were killing him by showing him the rear view mirror of the car?
It seemed like the mirror certainly looked bigger by the time it got to showing him his face, but yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not like it mattered in the end because he was burning himself out either way. Like, I think find out about it doesn't really matter.
I think it would have been maybe a little better if Shadowblade was getting the upper hand on Dove and like had her pinned against about to kill her, and then she like just twists it to show him and then that convinces him or causes him to hesitate or something. Because the way it's set up, like she's in no danger at all, and he's way far away, and then he just walks up to her calmly to look in the mirror. It's like there should have been. He was trying to.
Well, I guess they're trying to show. Yeah, they're trying to do something with her again. She's the pacifist one, so they got to have her do something that's not violent. So she's trying to find a calm, peaceful way out of the situation. So I guess that shows her that she doesn't have to be back against the wall. That's going to be her natural, modus operandi to try to find a peaceful solution.
But I just don't know if he should peacefully walk 50 yards to look at the mirror when he was trying to kill her all that time. And then he just, let me stroll over here and look in the mirror. I don't know. So yeah, it was a little awkwardness there. But it's okay. There's nothing great here, nothing totally awful either. It's just fine.
Yeah, this is kind of a typical comic you'd read in this time. Honestly, you wouldn't tell the difference between this and most of the stuff they're doing at Marvel at the time.
So let's talk Rob Liefeld.
Oh, it's time. It's finally time.
He was born in 1967. He is most famous for co-creating Cable and Deadpool and for being one of the founders of Image Comics in 1992. His Youngblood was the first book published at Image. Well, we'll get back to Image here in a second, but that's just the basis for Rob Liefeld.
Sure, that's a big part of
it. His first published work.
I have my New Mutants number 98 is signed by both Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza. So,
did you do that personally, or did you purchase that way?
No, I got them done at different cons.
Wow, look at you!
Yeah.
So you were within feet of Rob Liefeld.
Yep, met the man.
What was that like?
It was good. I don't remember a whole lot of it, but yeah, he was nice.
Was he wearing Levi 501 buttonfly jeans?
He was sitting down, but I'm guessing probably was.
Yeah, because we'll talk about that in a second. But his first published work were pinups for Megaton Comics in 1987, and one of those pinups was Youngblood. He did a pinup of his feature Youngblood team back in 1987. No, really? Yeah,
that's crazy.
He attended a comic convention in San Francisco and showed some samples to DC editor Dick Giordano, who requested more samples. And then he also showed stuff to Marvel's Mark Grunwald, who right on the spot, Mark Grunwald offered the 19-year-old Liefeld a Black Panther backup story in the Avengers. Meeting a kid at a convention? Yeah, all right, you got a gig. All right.
I mean, that's no weirder than all these other stories.
I know, but it seems so strange. Like, that stuff doesn't happen now, right?
I think it's even weirder now. I think they just try to find people that, you know, are the right politics on Twitter.
Oh, all right. But he didn't get to do that Black Panther backup story, though. Grunwald probably sobered up and said, what was I doing? Giving him a 19-year-old spot in the Avengers. So he did some character designs for Marvel, just some, support work. His first published work was a DC Comics bonus book insert into Warlord number 131 in 1988. And that led to the Hawk and Dove limited series. That same year in 88, he did a Nightshade story in Secret Origins issue 28. And are you familiar with Nightshade?
No.
She's like a lady. She's a lady who kind of like, it seems like she can teleport by stepping through like black discs of things. At least that's what it looks like from the pictures I saw.
Not like magic.
Yes.
Liliana's recipe.
Now keep in mind she could be nothing like that. But from the picture I saw, that's what it seemed like. His first work at Marvel was Amazing Spider-Man Annual 23. He started on New Mutants with issue 86, and he took over art, inking, and plotting with issue 98.
Yeah, he did.
The series ended with issue 100, but then it turned into X-Force, which he drew and plotted for the first 9 issues. X-Force 1 sold 4 million copies.
Ooh.
That was a record at the time. That then got broken shortly after by Jim Lee's X-Men 1.
Yeah.
But 4 million copies.
Yep. That's massive business.
And that
was one where they put in the special like poly bag and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how they sold so many, because I think they did different covers and stuff and people could collect them all or whatever.
For X-Force, I don't think there really were that many covers. Really? X-Men number 1, there definitely was. Like there was 4 different ones. And then there was the one version that was like the 4-way gatefold that had all 4 of them essentially.
But they did do some trickery with X. I think they did something with X, because this was the early 90s.
Come with like a trading card or something in the bag. That may have
like if you didn't live through this time in comics, it was a wild, wild time, because they were trying to do everything they could to all these gimmick covers, the holograms on the cover, different cover like cuts into the covers and stuff, foil embossed covers. They would do different versions of covers. You had to collect them all. Someone would be bagged with cards. So they were trying all these gimmicks. And it led to a comic book boom for like 2 years, where the collectors were like, oh, we got to get all these new issue number 1s and all these. And then the bottom fell out like within 2 years. And
because they realized, I mean, the problem with this was that they were printing so many of these things that none of them actually became collectible. Like there's so many copies out there. This isn't like, the first, Amazing Fantasy 15 or something where it's like there's not that many of them. There's plenty of X-Men number 1s out there, unfortunately.
Yeah. So they kind of lost track of what actually makes a book collectible. There's not that many of them. That's the thing that makes them
That's the key.
So keep in mind, he's doing all this. He's like 21, 22. And he's selling 4 million copies of X-Force. It's pretty nuts. And in 1990, he also appeared in a Levi's 501 Buttonfly jeans commercial directed by Spike Lee. Do you remember these?
Yes. I don't think I can remember much about him. I do remember him being in there, yeah.
I guess there's a hotline number where Levi's was asking people with interesting jobs to call in, and they wanted to be in a commercial. And Rob Liefeld just called in and said, yeah, I am a comic book artist, and I created X-Force.
And I wear jeans.
And I like buttons. Around the same time, Stan Lee did a bunch of little videos of with great comic book creators and stuff. And Rob Liefeld was one of them. Even though it's crazy.
He was huge. Like, you can't deny, the guy was huge at the time.
Yeah, it was like McFarlane and Liefeld. That was like the two.
Yeah, and Jim Lee.
Yeah, Lee a little after, but like then they all went to create Image in 1992. And this is kind of like the Sinister Six, Jack. Can you name all the original creators of Image who left?
Let's see. This one I'm going to do much worse on. This quiz I was not prepared for, but definitely Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane. I think Whilce Portacio.
Correct. Wetworks. Yep. Was his one early on, I remember.
Yeah. Was Mark Silvestri part of the initial?
Correct.
Yep. All right. Yep. Okay. Got that one.
Two more.
Two more, huh?
One's pretty famous. You should know him. He used to draw Spider-Man. After McFarlane.
The Savage Dragon guy, Eric Larson.
That's correct, Eric Larson. And then the final one is Jim Valentino.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Shadowhawk, is that what he did?
Yeah, that sounds right.
All these Silvers and Shadowhawks and Silverhawks, I don't know. He did one of them.
Darkclaw.
Yeah, Darkhawk. Something like that. He did. So, but yeah, 1992, I was 17 at the time, and it was pretty crazy time for comic books, because all these artists were like rock stars, these young hip artists, you know, and they said, hey, Marvel, we're tired of your business model. We want creator-owned rights. We're going to go start our own company. So they all left. And the one thing they didn't really plan on was, we have to write these books too.
Yep, that's kind of where the plan falls apart. Yeah. You can be an amazing artist, but that doesn't make you a writer.
Yeah. Not at all. And also, we have to stick to schedules? And we have to produce these books on a monthly basis? What? So,
like running this company while trying to do all this?
Yeah, the initial opening of Image, it was so popular, it was crazy. Everybody loved Image because also at the same time you had Valiant? Is that what it was, right? Valiant?
Sure,
is that what it was. Yeah, with
a Harbinger and
yes.
Animal.
So you had these two companies coming in challenging the Marvel DC, led business, and so they're all very popular, but Image had a lot of troubles keeping deadlines and maintaining a consistent production schedule. Liefeld's Youngblood series was pretty much dead on arrival because he put out book one, issue one, and then the next one didn't come out for 5-6 months. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's worse than Coyote.
Yeah. So in 1996, Marvel actually hired Liefeld. Yeah, because all these creators over at Image, they all had their own studios as well. That's the other thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So
it was a collective almost of different studios all working together somewhat.
Yeah, in each studio, each creator had his own banner, but book that they were known for. But then they had other ones beneath that. What was Jim Lee doing at that time? Wildcat.
Wildstorm, yeah.
Wildcat.
Yeah, I guess it was Wildcats at the time, yeah. And Wildstorm later on.
I think Wildstorm may have been the name of his studio, though.
Okay.
So that would make sense. And, of course, Todd McFarlane was doing Spawn. That was the biggest book Image had.
Yeah, that was massive.
So, but in 1996, Marvel hired Liefeld and Jim Lee's respective studios to work on the Heroes Reborn project.
Yeah.
Now, see, I was out of comics by this point, and I did not live through any of this, but it is kind of infamous because Liefeld, he was to write 12 issues of Avengers and draw 12 issues of Captain America.
Yeah.
But he was removed from both books after 6 issues due to poor sales. Why would you hire him to write anything?
Yeah, that's a mistake. I mean, especially at Marvel, you have writers.
Yeah.
You got people he's worked with. You can get Fabian Nicieza or somebody like that. You can do this.
Would you like to explain what Heroes Reborn was for people unfamiliar?
Yeah, so Heroes Reborn was an effort to try to rejuvenate some of the more popular characters of Marvel that had kind of fallen out of favor. Books like the Fantastic Four weren't selling anymore. The Avengers, the heroes that made up the Avengers, none of them were really doing much business anymore.
Isn't that crazy to think about now? Yeah. The Avengers and all the movies and how many billions of dollars they made. But back then,
the A-list characters. But back then, yeah, they'd kind of fallen out of fashion. The whole line was basically being carried by the X-Men and Spider-Man books. So they were like, we got to do something to jazz these things up. So at the end of the Onslaught crossover, basically they had a lot of characters sacrifice their lives into this onslaught void kind of thing. It had become a psionic energy thing, and they all kind of sacrificed themselves and were seemingly killed. So this was the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Bruce Banner was in there. Basically the non-mutant heroes who were in attendance, because mutants would only make it stronger. So that was the rationale. It was like, okay, we can kill off the other heroes. So they all disappeared and were reborn in this new universe that you would eventually come to find out was Franklin Richards had created a universe inside this blue ball that he carried around because he didn't want his family to die, essentially. So he had, kept them alive and put them in this ball universe. But you didn't know that till like the end of the story when they finally come back. But basically this was a whole new world where they were starting all over, starting fresh, starting at new number ones and restarting with the origins of all these characters in a new universe where they're going to revamp them and make them, more hip for the 90s.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Lasted a year, and then they pulled the plug on that.
Yeah, and Liefeld's Captain America run's kind of infamous for a particular drawing of Captain America where he's got this engorged chest, right?
Yeah, it kind of looks like he's got breast implants a little bit, but I mean, yeah, every artist has their bad moments.
He just had more of them. He left Image in September of 1996 due to conflicts with fellow founders.
Yeah.
I want to say, was it Silvestri in particular who really had issues and said he was going to quit? And that's what, so Liefeld says he resigned. The others said they fired him.
Yeah.
But,
yep. It seems like, Liefeld doesn't seem like the nicest guy to do business with for sure. He seems like he's pretty cutthroat and willing to screw people over hardcore.
He's also gotten in trouble over the years for comments on Twitters, saying like, who is he talking about? Oh, Deadpool. He was saying Deadpool, it's incredible that he has had such success when nothing but B-level talents have been running the book. So people got very upset about that. It is ripping on his other, his fellow creators.
Yeah, he doesn't have much of a filter, that's for sure.
So in 2011, as part of DC's New 52, which is basically their Heroes Reborn, where they just relaunched all the titles, Liefeld returned to Hawk and Dove, drawing the first 8 issues before the series was canceled.
Odd that they chose that to be one of the launching titles for the New 52. Like, this is what people want.
Yeah, Hawk and
Time
Dove.
for Hawk and Dove again.
I guess they were banking on Liefeld selling books, being popular. Like, hey, Rob, someone will buy. What do you want to do, Rob Liefeld? I want to bring back Hawk and Dove. Maybe that's what happened. But when you really look at Liefeld's career, compared to other famous creators, he really didn't do that much. Like when you stack up,
sure.
like it's pretty sparse when you.
It was very 90s heavy, and then since then, not a whole lot. Just kind of been riding the coattails of the characters he created in the 90s.
So
what for the Deadpool movies?
Do you have any other favorite Liefeld moments or issues that come to mind? I remember he did a fill-in issue on Uncanny X-Men, like back when they were like in the outback in Australia, and I remember they went to like a shopping mall or something.
Oh yeah, this is where they find Jubilee.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really all I can remember.
He does a lot of Cable covers throughout the years. There was a Cable and Deadpool series in the 2000s that he would do a lot of covers for. They all look really good. I have very complicated feelings about Rob Liefeld. For the most part, I do appreciate his work. I think for the most part, Captain America aside, for the most part, his stuff is very good and very detailed. And,
I hate his stuff. I think it's an abomination. I think his anatomy's dreadful. Is just anything is off. When I was a kid, I liked him. I didn't love him. I like McFarlane more. Of course, now when I look at McFarlane stuff as an adult, I think it's terrible. But I remember when I was looking at that stuff when I was a kid, and I was hearing all these old comic book creators say these guys can't draw. They don't know what they're doing. How are they so popular? They don't even know how to draw. And I was like, oh, these old bums don't know what they're talking about. This is great. But now as one of those old bums, I look back, I'm like, this is awful. From a technical standpoint, from a craftsmanship standpoint, this is all terrible. And, but I think the key was back at that point in history, these young artists, McFarlane's or Liefeld's least, they brought a bunch of energy into their work. Like, because that was at a time when it was after like the British invasion stuff in DC and the Dark Knight and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like more serious and somber and sad, that kind of stuff. And these guys were just very energetic, and all their books were very lively and, this is fun, or whatever. So as a kid, I loved it. But looking back at it now, I can clearly see what all the criticism was about because, I can't stand it.
I mean, it doesn't bother me that, the anatomy is kind of wonky when it still looks appealing. It doesn't look, it may not be accurate
to you. It looks appealing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appealing to me when I see someone with one stubby arm and one leg that doesn't connect to a hip. And, it's just like, this is
stylistic. It doesn't have to, always be completely.
Yeah, but it has to be like consistently in that style where it's just haphazard. Like it'll look like this one panel, look like this another panel. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
I mean, I will definitely say that he spawned a lot of imitators. Like,
yes,
there were a lot of people trying to be Rob Liefeld at the time, and if you look at those, like a lot of those are just awful.
Yes.
So I give him credit for being the authenticator and being the real deal. Where his stuff looks a lot better than the people who tried to be him.
It is pretty crazy how influential he was at such a young age.
21, and like everyone's trying to ride on his coattails.
Yeah, so good on you, Rob Liefeld, for making it big like that. I'm just not a fan of your work. Don't take it personal. You probably don't like my stuff either, so don't worry about it. But what'd you think about his art in this issue specifically?
Well, like you said, the storytelling may not have been there completely, but I liked a lot of it. Like the demon biting down on the gun and the teeth all breaking apart. Like I thought that was cool looking. The panel design may have been a little bit repetitive, but
very repetitive. Yeah.
I remember he did like to do cool things like I think was it him or McFarlane that did the whole issue where it was all like sideways splash pages pretty much. Like it was 2-page spreads. Cause it was like a Spider-Man X-Force crossover and one of the issues was completely horizontal the entire time. You had to read it like a flip book.
Yeah. That's something. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good art here. I, for the most part, liked it. Hawk, looks like a big, typical Rob Liefeld guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of good art here. I think this is pretty good for Liefeld, though. It's not, I've seen worse Liefeld than this, but there's still a lot of bad stuff. And the storytelling, that's the other thing about this point in time. All these young artists, they were all about the big splash page and the big cool pose, and storytelling always got forgotten, pushed to the side. And just not my style. I don't like this style of art. It's not something I enjoy looking at. So, not a fan.
Yeah, this was my era, so I don't know. It's always going to speak to me in a way I probably will never be able to describe.
You were younger than me at this point. You were probably like 9 or 10 at this point, right?
Yeah.
So these are your formative years in comics.
Yeah, like by the time I started like reading comics, like I could definitely notice the difference between the New Mutants issues leading up to his start. Like you take a look at like issue 77 or something, and like the cover, and you're like, oh, this is terrible.
That's the thing.
This is forgettable. And then you look at Rob Liefeld cover, and you're like, holy shit, this looks awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to undersell how cool he was to the New Mutants at that time. Because when he came into the New Mutants, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, because it was just so much better than what had led up to that. I think, who was Brett Blevins before him? And,
I think it was, Brett Blevins. Then there may have been somebody filling in for a couple issues before, but
and Blevins, I'm not a huge fan of Brett Blevins either, but he had a style that kind of fit the New Mutants.
It was kind of kiddie. Yeah.
So it was okay. But he came in and it just rejuvenated the New Mutants, and it was like something totally new and fresh. So it was awesome at that time, no doubt.
But he did have some cool ideas. I mean, adding Cable into the mix and turning it into X-Force was an interesting idea for sure.
Deadpool, Spider-Man with guns. So, there you go.
We also created Domino. Great character there.
All right. Yeah, Domino.
Shatterstar.
I was a big Shatterstar fan at the time.
Yeah, it was cool.
A lot. Yeah. I bought those X-Forces. I was way into X-Force at the time. Yeah, I'm too harsh now, probably looking back at Liefeld. But his early time there, New Mutants and X-Force, it was something. It was something.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it.
All right, so there it is. What do we think overall of Hawk and Dove issue 4?
You know what? I'm gonna give it right down the middle a 5. It's kind of just neither here nor there. It didn't rub me in a wrong way, but it didn't necessarily rub me in the right way either.
But it did rub you. So
yes, I got thoroughly rubbed.
Yeah, there's nothing awful here, but there's nothing good either. So I think 5's about right. You know, just is fine.
Down the pipe. It was a thing.
It was a thing. I think there's some potential here. You know, I'd like to see the Hawk character maybe a little. Well, you don't want to make him too friendly or too likable, but at the same time, a little bit likable would be nice because he's pretty much unbearable in this. You don't.
Yeah, really if he's like this in every issue, that's going to get old very quickly.
Yeah. So there it is, Hawk and Dove. All right, next week, Jank, we're going to go back to Marvel, thank God.
All right.
And we're going to do, we've done this book before on the show, but I was like, let's do one of them other big signature heroes there for Marvel. So we're going to go Iron Man issue 127 from 1979. This is actually the issue right before Demon in a Bottle.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I figure everybody talks about Demon. Yeah, everybody talks about Demon in a Bottle, but no one talks about the issue right before it. Let's talk about that. There's a good cover with Iron Man fighting a bunch of dudes on the front by Bob Layton. So,
perfect.
Yeah.
I think
Iron
I've actually read.
Yeah. 127. So there it is. So next week, that's what we'll be doing. And of course, you can listen to us on, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever. We're also on the YouTubes over there. If you have any questions or comments, let us know.
Oh, and hey, I did start an Instagram page for Flea Market Fantasy.
What?
So if you want to check us out on Instagram, I'll post covers and stuff of books.
Oh, wow. Look at you. If you get more Instagram followers than we get listeners, I'll be impressed. So if you can get 6 people, you got us beat.
Here's hoping.
All right, so that's news to me. So good on you, Jank, for doing that. And what else? If you have any suggestions for books you want us to do, let us know. But until then, don't get any jank on you.